In this video, we are going to be tracing the footsteps that Jews would have taken during the first century during Sukkot, that leaves from the Temple Mount down the monumental staircase over what today is called Robinson's Arch, and then down along the promenade that leads ultimately to the south of the city of David, where the Pool of Siloam is located. Here we see a reconstruction of the monumental staircase coming off of the southwestern corner of the Temple Mount. You can see here in the middle of this picture a red circle which indicates where today Robinson's Arch is located. Robinson's Arch is a stone outcropping that supported in the first century this monumental staircase. Now we are looking at the archaeological remains at the southwestern corner of the Temple Mount. Down below, we actually see a stone walkway. This is the walkway that Jesus would have walked on in the first century. If you look in the red circle just above that stone walkway, or promenade as it's referred to, you'll see in the red circle Robinson's Arch, which is a stone platform that's jutting out from the wall structure there. If you can imagine from the previous screen that we saw, imagine that there's a large archway coming out of that platform. On top of that archway is a walkway that worshipers would have used coming out of the Temple Mount, and then making a left-hand turn down a series of steps, and then another left-hand turn which brought worshipers down onto the stone pavement walkway. Now we're panning around behind us, and what you will see is the archaeological remains of that stone pavement, that promenade that would have continued all the way south and ending at the Pool of Siloam. Now we're actually taking a little bit of a break. We're showing you the tunnel that's a Canaanite tunnel, actually, that brought water into the city of Jerusalem. This particular tunnel is not the one that was made by Hezekiah. Hezekiah's tunnel is a little bit lower than this one, but this is a tunnel built by the Canaanites that brought water into the city. I'm just walking through this right now and showing this to you because it gives you a sense of what Hezekiah's tunnel was like, that King Hezekiah of Judah would have constructed right around 700 BC in preparation for the coming of the Syrian Emperor Sennacherib.
Is that good?
Now we are just about ready to walk into the grounds of the Pool of Siloam. Here's a map in front of you, and you'll notice at the very bottom of that map is where the Pool of Siloam is, and here we see some of the water supply that's bringing water into the area of the Pool of Siloam as it exists today. Here you see me walking down into the archaeological remains of the Pool of Siloam. This has been excavated since around the year 2000. You can see the steps that would have led down into the Pool of Siloam. Right now we only have the northern steps that have been excavated. There's a lot in this site that has not been excavated. Here's a little picture that shows you what the Pool of Siloam would have looked like during the time of Jesus. And again, just the section that is in the foreground is the section that's been excavated, just one particular side. You can see that there's a series of steps leading down into the pool, and in the previous screen you just saw me walking down some of those steps that actually date back to the time of Jesus. And here we are once again, walking down into the excavation of the Pool of Siloam, going down to several series of steps. There we see the steps leading down into the Pool of Siloam. And off to the right, there's a lot more excavation yet to be done. It's really an incredible site to visit, and I think we're going to take a few moments just to sit down and then read the story of the healing of the blind man.
We started our look at John 7, 8, and 9 by talking about what was going on around the temple. And now we are at the area of the Pool of Siloam, which is further south in the old city of Jerusalem during the time of Jesus. It's located really on the tip of where the Hinnom Valley intersects the Kidron Valley. If you pan around, we can see the location of the Pool of Siloam that's only been partially excavated. We have the northern steps of the Pool of Siloam that's been excavated. A very large area. Hopefully at some point the rest of the pool will be excavated, but the property, as I understand it, is owned by the Greek Orthodox Church. And so the rest of the archaeological work here at this site is still questionable. But we are here where much of John chapter 9 takes place. This is the location of the healing of the blind man from John chapter 9. So I thought it would be suitable for me to read that chapter from John's Gospel in the location where this miracle took place. But again, it starts in the temple, in the area around the temple, and then concludes here. Let me read this. This is from John chapter 9. As he passed by, Jesus, he saw a man blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" And Jesus answered, "It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said these things, he spat on the ground and made mud with the saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with mud and said to him, "Go, wash in the Pool of Siloam," which means sent. So he went and washed and came back seeing. The neighbors and those who had seen him before as a beggar were saying, "Is this not the man who used to sit and beg?" Some said, "It is he." Others said, "No, but he's like him." He kept saying, "I'm the man." So they said to him, "Then how were your eyes opened?" He answered, "The man called Jesus made mud and anointed my eyes and said to me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' So I went and washed and received my sight." They said to him, "Where is he?" He said, "I don't know." They brought to the Pharisees the man who had formerly been blind. Now it was a Sabbath day when Jesus made the mud and opened his eyes. So the Pharisees again asked him how he had received his sight. And he said to them, "He put mud on my eyes, and I washed, and I see." Some of the Pharisees said, "This man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath." But others said, "How can a man who is a sinner do such signs?" And there was a division among them. So they said again to the blind man, "What do you say about him since he's opened your eyes?" He said, "He's a prophet." The Jews did not believe that he had been blind and had received his sight until they called the parents of the man who had received his sight, and they asked them, "Is this your son, who you say was born blind? How then does he now see?" His parents answered, "We know that this is our son and that he was born blind. But how now he sees, we don't know, nor do we know who opened his eyes. Ask him. He is of age. He will speak for himself." His parents said these things because they feared the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that if anyone should confess Jesus to be Christ, he was to be put out of the synagogue. Therefore his parents said, "He is of age, ask him." So for the second time they called the man who had been blind and said to him, "Give glory to God. We know that this man is a sinner." He answered, "Whether he's a sinner, I don't know. One thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see." They said to him, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He answered them, "I've told you already, and you would not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you also want to become his disciples?" And they reviled him, saying, "You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know that God has spoken to Moses, but as for this man, we don't know where he comes from." The man answered, "Why, this is an amazing thing. You do not know where he comes from, and yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if anyone is a worshiper of God and does his will, God listens to him. Never since the world began has it been heard that anyone opened the eyes of a man born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing." They answered him, "You were born in utter sin, and would you teach us?" And they cast him out. Jesus heard that they had cast him out, and having found him, he said, "Do you believe in the Son of Man?" And he answered, "And who is he, sir, that I may believe in him?" Jesus said to him, "You have seen him, and it is he who is speaking to you." He said, "Lord, I believe." And he worshipped him. Jesus said, "For judgment I came into this world, that those who do not see may see, and those who see may become blind." Some of the Pharisees near him heard these things and said to him, "Are we also blind?" Jesus said to them, "If you were blind, you would have no guilt. But now that you say, 'We see,' your guilt remains." The story of the blind man that is healed by Jesus in John chapter 9.